Yeah, so I'm Katarana. The proper way to say is Katarina, but I don't expect everyone to do the all the time. Yeah, I am what I like to call myself Vosh with Booba. I am a debate bruh. Um, I'm also a physicist, so I do physics content as well. Um, but depending on my mood, the easier thing to do is always just to come and school some conservatives. So that's usually what I end up doing. But don't forget, I'm a scientist first. Um, and I fall into the LGBTQ community by being the B. I am B. Uh, yeah. So, yeah, I chicks and dicks. It's all good. I have no preference.
All right, so the first question is, at what age did you know that you were bi?
14. I found out when I was 14. Um, there was a girl that I had gone to elementary school that I found annoying as shit because she kept on smiling all the time, and I was like, "Why are you so happy?" um, but then when we went to middle school, I don't know, we had to work on a project together for something, and I was just like, "Holy shit, your face is good." uh, and yeah, I like ended up like getting like a really major crush on her. And to this day, I still go on her Instagram and think of the things that could have, would have, should have. I think, um, yeah, but like we kissed once. It's a very cool kiss. Uh, and my mom was like, "Ah, that girl doesn't like you. She's too pretty." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, mom. Suck my dick."
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Savage mom.
I know, right? I was like, okay, fine, cool, whatever.
Did you ever
Um,
so since you realized that, did you ever have struggle with like thoughts of self-loathing or like wishing you were sort of, part of the norm or anything like that?
I guess it's the whole thing of like since I am so crazy straight passing, and most people when I go to queer bars think I'm just there as like a supporter. Uh, I think I almost like pass too well as being part of the norm. I've never really had any form of self-loathing over it. When I went to Christian school, back like when I was finishing up high school, they definitely were trying to get me to be like, well, it's not like my school knew, but they were really like harping down your throat about how the gays are bad all the time.
Hmm.
I usually was just like, "Hey, did you know that like one in every like 12 people are like either like gay or lesbian? So you doing this right now means that you're basically isolating two people in this classroom." And then like everybody in class was like, "I'm not gay," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, buddy." Um, but no, I think because I happen to be finishing up I'm not that old, so there wasn't too much stigma around being gay, I guess. And I also had like a cousin that was a lesbian, and not that people were like crazy supportive, but nobody was necessarily unsupportive. I never really felt too bad about it.
Yeah. And what was your experience going through school as someone part of the LGBT community? Like, you know, do you have any like specific crushes? Did people bully you? Stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess like as I said, I'm just like really really straight passing, so nobody ever really suspected anything. I think the one thing that ended up being kind of cool actually was that a friend of mine that I was going to high school with was also bi back at our Christian school, but she didn't have anyone to talk about it with, and like she had grown up in the Caribbean the whole time, so nobody was going to talk about it with her. Um, but I had just come from the States, so like I actually was able to like have conversations with her about it, and like I guess I made her like a lot comfortable in her like sexuality. Um, but yeah, I never really experienced too many issues. I think honestly, um, it kind of sucks that there's this whole I guess expectation. as a queer person to present in a very specific way because myself and like all my friends are also like queer but very straight passing queer people.
Yeah.
So whenever we go out, people always just think we're there for like the memes or like we're there like just because maybe one person in our group might like look more I guess traditionally queer, so everyone will just think that we're just hanging out. um so like yeah, it just continuously comes up like we go places and everyone's like who let the breeders in. Like
Yeah. So you mentioned the Caribbean. What's like the culture surrounding LGBT issues there? Do you know?
you better not. That's basically what it is. Yeah. I guess I you know obviously I don't go into anyone's face and like rub it in, but like religion is really just something that I feel like they use during like times of slavery to keep people down and like make you forget as much parts of your culture as possible. So yeah, like um, Christianity is not my culture's original religion,
Mhm.
and I don't know really what the idea of um, like non-heterosexual relationships are um in our original religion, but I also know that like for all of our countries in the Caribbean, it's like 90% of people are practicing Christians. And it's like not even like slightly like I just go to church. It's like people come to your house and like exercise like your house once a year, like that kind of
Jesus.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um like people would definitely use the word like oh stop being gay like in school way too often, um
Oh man.
but like not in like English, of course, like we have like different words to say that, but like yeah, like let's say there were a couple of guys that were just like a bit more sensitive, like just enjoyed playing like guitar and everyone would be like oh don't hang out with that person like he's kind of gay. um So like that was really like uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, like most of these people were not even actually gay; they just were sensitive men.
And that's the funny thing is like the U.S. wasn't isn't too far off from that culture like it's recently that we've seen this shift where we've stopped calling sensitive men gay or wondering if they are gay and stuff like that. Because I remember growing up that was a pretty big issue. Is like if you were crying or whatever, you were gay or like a woman or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really, really, it's really fucking weird. That that's so pervasive. So essentially, like, there's this whole idea of, yeah, men have to be like very macho and like strong and like all that stuff within our country, and it wasn't that much of a problem within like our class because and by class I mean like hierarchical like monetary class type of thing, because like
Hmm.
no one's gonna kill you because like we're the like the 1%ers is so small that like everyone's gonna know you killed somebody's kid. But like let's say for the other 99%, yeah, like if you are gay, you basically better not present like or let anybody know. It's basically like you're gonna be perpetually in the closet. Because yeah, like it's pretty normal to literally just kill them. Like just kill them.
Damn.
Like
Yeah,
if you're
that's
gay, yeah, just kill the person.
oh man, that's crazy. Um, I think that might be something that I might work into my questions is stuff about religion and how religion may have affected the LGBTQ experience.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I if you've ever heard Demon Mama talk, she talks a lot about how religion definitely like messed with like I don't know, her parents were like part of some like really religious like cult or something. So that was
yeah,
the problem. So yeah,
yeah,
religion definitely fucked with shit.
I definitely want to try and get an interview with Demon Mama. I think that would be great. So I know you say you're straight passing, so you didn't necessarily get stuff from people, but what is like the worst thing that people have done to you? Like, what's the worst bigotry you've experienced specifically for being LGBT?
So, because I am such a nervous wreck, I've actually never been in like a non-hetero relationship, so most people don't even know uh, that I'm bi. Um, so I guess a lot of times people just mostly are like you're not queer. Like people will just tell me that I'm not queer. Um, because they're like, well, you have a boyfriend, so you're not queer, and like you don't know anything about like you don't know like what things underneath my pants look like, so like why are you saying
Hmm.
that? Like I haven't fucked everybody in this classroom, so I don't know why you're assuming. Um Also like yeah, I guess it's really weird. Like I've just gotten like really weird like people kind of denying that I'm queer thing. So I don't know. I during the elections of like when I became a student body president, um, the group before me were like a team of mostly queer people, and somebody was like, because I'm a creep, I was able to get into like some of their messages to see like what were they saying, and somebody was like saying like, "Oh, this fucking hetero girl was saying," and I was like, I'm not hetero, like I'm not hetero, like
Yeah, that sort of answers a little bit of the question that I had saved for later. Dealing with being feeling excluded from LGBTQ spaces for like misconceptions about how you identify and stuff like that. So I guess that sort of answers that. You have felt a little excluded because people see you as being straight or see you as being not queer in some way.
it's like there's some people like even people that are trans, there's people that have known about their identity for long enough that they were able to go ahead and get everything done ahead of time. But they don't like look like they completely are passing. And I'm sure like some people have probably gone and been like, get out of here. It's like, no, like fucking queer. Like don't know enough about like my experiences. I think honestly, yeah, a lot of it just comes from like as a Caribbean person, like my family, as I said, like I have a lesbian cousin, and people usually just try to say that she's confused. Um,
Oh man, that's the worst.
yeah, but like the thing that's really like great about being confused is that like she's breaking 40, so like I don't know where this confusion conception is coming from. But she's literally almost 40 right now, so like what? Like what? Okay. Um,
She just hasn't had the right penis.
that
Oh my god, I had a friend that legitimately thought that. Like he thought that there was no such thing as a lesbian because any lesbian he met he would sleep with and they would be bi. And I'm just like oh my god, there's so many things wrong with that.
what your friend has. I don't know if he has this like rotating rib for her pleasure naturally penis, but uh, you better tell him to get a hold on that ego, bud, because
Yeah, like it was really weird.
yeah.
Um, what aspect of the LGBT experience do you think should be talked about more? Something that doesn't get a lot of mention, especially within LGBT circles.
He always just complain about the whole idea that like people just don't think like we are clear enough, like in the way that we present ourselves, and it's like okay, people really need to understand that like okay, for some of our fields we cannot be very expressive. Like if I want to come to let's say school wearing I don't know, just having a lot of different hair colors, doing the like cut in the middle of like my eyebrow, no one would take me seriously. It doesn't work well for like other people's fields. There are fields in which like expression is really, really valued and everybody's happy to see it. But like in physics, in engineering, no one's gonna let you do that. Like people are gonna be uncomfortable. Obviously, like it's not my job 24/7 to make people comfortable, but it is also important to me that like I can have a vibrant career and there's already enough boundaries on what I can do as a result of my other identities. I'm not going to go ahead and add extra things and make my life more complicated than it already is. And this is kind of like the problem because for myself and my other friends, that's also what happens to be the issue for us. All of us happen to be people of color, and we're all like from countries where our families or like our cultures are not okay with it. So we're not going to go ahead and do anything that's going to make our families want to talk to us less than they already do. So I think there really needs to be like less of this idea that like if you don't present in a certain way, then like people are going to just assume that you're just there like for fun. Like I'm just coming to Pride just to shoot the shit. I'm just like, wow, look at all these like people seem to think I'm there like for like sociological purposes rather than just there for myself. Yeah, so like I guess honestly, there's so much of the whole I think just the idea of like what your person looks like, how they present, uh, you know, um, how they dress, etc.
Wait, are you
I am
familiar
familiar
with
I'm
Alden's
being
number?
hosted.
I just
I
made
do
it
know
up.
Oh,
about
I literally just made that up.
sorry,
You're completely
I
full
got
of
so
shit.
Okay.
There's no
scared.
such thing as
Okay,
Alden's number.
I was like, why do we have Bosch's voice in my head? Try it again, but no.
Did Daddy join the chat?
Yeah, Daddy, what the fuck? Okay, second, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on my camera now because I think I've made my kitchen at least look somewhat like I don't live in
Are you freaking
death.
kidding me?
Okay,
Okay.
hold on.
Um.
Oh shit! It's Anna the Nugget. Yo, what the fuck? Thanks, Anna. We're talking
Oh.
about being queer.
Oh, Anna hosted you.
Yeah. Hello.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, that is very cool. Yeah, we're just talking about being queer and what it's like. Yeah, so I think like the whole idea that I need to go ahead and present a certain way or I'm not like real enough. And I think like a lot of the problem is already as a black woman people assume that I'm not queer just naturally. Because there's always this idea of like black women being like feral, like super duper horn woman. So like I'm just always looking for the biggest black cock around. So like if I am doing like then I must just be there for fun. Which is really really like hurtful, I guess, because I've actually been to queer bars several times and no one ever talks to me ever. I just go there and I'm really socially awkward, so I'm not going to approach anybody. And people are being approached. Yeah, like that's what it's there for. No one comes up to me ever. It's like because everyone just thinks I'm there for fun. So people will come up to me and be like, "I really like your hair." I'm like, okay, and they continue on. So yeah, I guess really like I would love to work on some of the understanding that like not all of us are in like these really expression heavy and like understanding fields that just want you to be happy. Cause like in physics, no one gives two fucks about my happiness. Like they want me to go ahead and produce the results and like move on with my day.
So I guess that somewhat leads into my next question. What do you think is like the most pressing issue within the LGBT community? Like what are some of the things that you think what's the most troubling thing that the LGBT community does that you think you would change?
I think there's a lot of like fragmentation, especially right now with the whole like kink at pride discourse. There's been this idea that yeah, like we are so normalized, and everything's just fine now, and yeah, that means that like we don't really need to continue fighting for things that much, and like yeah, like everyone's life is cool, and it's like, but it's not, and I don't think we're fighting enough, as a collective. yeah, as a collective for like other like people's rights. And I think it's like pretty unfortunate because at some point like all of us were like united because we were all like equally marginalized. But I think a lot of people are just like trans people. It's not my problem. Like I can get married now, so yeah, like that sounds like a you problem. And
Yeah.
that's really weird. And that's really really unfortunate as well because yeah, like you will never get anything done unless you do things as a collective. It's like, I guess perhaps it's an experience that um, is, I guess, a bit novel because, like, within the Black community, we're very used to it. Like, the factions, like, that's not my problem. No, but I'm doing fine. Like, I don't need to worry about you guys. Like, that. But up until, the last 10 years, we all had to fight on the same front, and now there's this, like, factioning, and I think this really needs to be, like, something needs to happen, something needs to give, because this doesn't make any sense. Like, we all need to work together.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think, honestly, there's just so much, like, legislation being passed consistently that's, like, anti-trans, and quite often, not enough people are, like, helping and, like, actually trying to, like, do anything about it, and people are essentially leaving, like, allies and, like, trans people to go ahead and fight the fight. And it's like, there's not enough trans people to go ahead and do all the work. Like, more people need to go ahead and help, because, like, trans people don't have that much institutional power. So unless there's people helping, like, this is a lost battle. Like, there definitely needs to be more stuff happening here.
Yeah, Twitter recently put me in Twitter jail for saying punch turfs at Pride.
You're in Twitter jail?
Yeah, for 7 days.
Aw. Did somebody report you, or they're just a flag,
I have no idea. It might have been automated.
I didn't even know that Twitter jail was a thing. I've never. I tweet like once a month. I basically tweet like every time like I start menstruating, so there's not too. So do with that what you will. Sometimes I tweet like twice a day. Do with that what you will.
So your most recent answer leads into our next question. What do you think we could do to pull over LGBTQ conservatives? How do you think we could change their minds?
That is so crazy oxymoronic, and that just really sounds like a place of privilege. Like, what? Okay. Like, like, what? Like, like the National Republican Party obviously has to go ahead and say, yes, we're okay with, like, gay people getting married. But, like, basically every state Republican manifesto, I guess, says, like, we would appeal, like, gay marriage if we could. And, like, you guys were gonna fight to the death for these guys? Okay. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's oxymoronic, but at the same time, I kind of just prefer it, honestly. It's something that I would advocate for even happening within the Black community, because, like, what are you gonna do? Have them, like, move over to your end, but also, like, continuously block, like, rally up, like, the representatives and say, like, no, don't go that far with, like, this different type of queer legislation. Like, I think sometimes, like, it's unfortunate that people are factioning, but, like, if they're already in that mindset, I don't think, like, we should really try to continuously, like, rally them to just, like, switch parties. I think we should rally for them to switch mindsets, but if they can't switch mindsets, then stay in that party, because, like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like, how can we change their minds to be on our side, to become more left, or like a Democrat or something, and stop being conservative?
I kind of would have to know more about, like, what is the reasoning behind it. Like, is it coming from a place of, like, ignorance and just, like, well, I don't pay that much attention to the news, but, like, I really, like, don't like high taxes? Or is it coming from a place of, like, I have my rights, so I don't really give a fuck about others? So I guess if it comes from a place of like I just don't want high taxes, and I'm making enough money that like taxes above a certain like rate would actually like take away my like income, then I would just have to be like, can you please pay more attention to what's happening? Because like you having to pay $20,000 extra dollars when you're making $250,000 a year isn't that much of an issue when like the exchange is that more people can actually feel like humans. Like it's really a lot of like take your head out of your ass. Like that's really really selfish of you. The idea is like I got mine already, and like that's not my problem. I think really it would be good to see if there are any examples of it. To just show that, like, hey, you know that, like, when we allow people to fly back rights or not give rights to certain people, the chain reaction is that you eventually don't get yours anymore either. They will go ahead and appeal yours too. So, yeah, I think a lot of it would just like it would really have to do with appealing to different types of sensibilities. Though it is really unfortunate that some people honestly think that making $20,000 extra a year is more important than human rights. And for that, I would say 0 out of 10. Please, I do not approve. Like I don't know, it's pretty selfish. Nonetheless, it kind of sucks that like there's even that whole idea that like we would have to coddle people into remembering that there's other people outside of themselves that they need to worry about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really complex because it's really hard to pinpoint exactly why certain LGBTQ people like fall for conservative talking points. I think one of the things that we probably could do is try and at least convince them that the Republicans don't have their best interest at heart and show them how the minute Republicans get power is the minute that people in the LGBT community lose their rights.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's so when we have people like Blair White, of course, those are like really like the good one.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
I don't think there's any chance of changing the mind of those people, people like that, like Candace Owens and stuff, because they're doing it for money. They don't like, regardless of whether they actually believe what they're saying, they don't care to change their minds. They're making money off what they're doing, so they wouldn't ever really consider changing their minds because they don't care.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think the amount of money that like Candace Owens is making off of her ridiculousness versus the amount of money that like Blair White is making off of it is equivalent. But I do think that there is a certain level of like genuinity, I guess, to Blair's position, which is unfortunate. I don't really know what exactly that comes from, and I feel like in some senses it has to be like a bit of just like general self-loathing as well. I think somebody that is continuously like making videos about like all the bad trances clearly is trying to tell themselves something. And I think the only thing that we could do for Blair is like start maybe like a Blair therapy fund. Or just like, I don't
Well,
know,
I
get
think
the
I think
state
that's
to
the
mandate that she
I
gets it. I
think
don't know.
I think that's the issue with a lot of conservative people that genuinely are conservative, is that they tend to have a big ego and that there's nothing wrong with them, and then when they project their insecurities, they refuse to see it as a reflection of their own values or their own insecurities. I think I think that Blair would have to have like a breaking point. I think Blair would have to like lose her followers and have basically a fall from grace to even begin to realize like her problems and deal with those issues.
Yeah, I guess there's some people that might just be a little bit like too close to untouchable. I don't think she's like, super mega ultra huge, like, but yeah, I don't really see um there being anything that could happen in at least anytime soon that would go ahead and like take away some of her following, because there's that whole situation that she had when she was like making fun of like a trans feminine athlete, and it ended up all
Mm-hmm.
being like wrong, and she ended up losing like a couple of followers, but like at the end of the day, like what was it, like 20?
She did
2,000?
lose a substantial amount. I think she's still under 1 million because of that. I think that was a huge blow to her fan base, but of course she's still making content. It's not like, you know,
Well,
devastating.
yeah, she's not living like in a bridge in the middle of what is it, LA right now, right? Like,
Yeah, I think ultimately she would something bad would have to happen to her to make her realize that the people she's surrounding herself with don't actually care about her or her transness. They're just using her to further their ends.
but I guess there's always that thing that could be added is like, when you're online, does anybody really care about you? Like, right? Like, does anyone actually care about any of our happiness? Like, I don't know. There's always like a couple of friends that you might become, people that you might become truly friends with. But like at the end of the day, does anyone actually give two fucks about your well-being? Because like, I don't think so. And like, I like anything that she goes through where like people end up leaving, it still might not necessarily be like the affirmation that she needs to be like, oh, like Republicans don't care about trans people. It might just be more like the internet doesn't care about people, which is true.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you think polyamory should fall under the LGBT umbrella, and how do you think it would be classified if it were to be under that umbrella?
I guess in terms of probably the blowback that they would get, yeah, I think definitely it is not accepted. If I guess within like the Zoomer population, people are like, oh, okay, like you want to fuck other people, but like, no one's going like, that's not going to be a group that has like the right to marry anytime soon. So yeah, I guess by definition it would. It's just that it's never really been a group that I've thought very much about. But yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could see it being underneath the queer umbrella. I guess I would definitely add it to the Q part, or being its own like amendment to the to all the letters. But yeah, I think there's enough people that fall under polyamory that I think it would be important that it even get to some like letter when we go ahead and like say the whole thing, when we say LGBTQIA+. I that seems appropriate.
Do you, like how would you classify a poly relationship within the LGBT community? Would a certain amount of people have to be, queer to for it to be a relationship that would fall under that? What would be the criteria to be able to fit it under the LGBT umbrella?
Well, naturally, it would already seem to be like pretty queer, just because you're gonna have at least, if it's more than two people, you're gonna at least have one person or one gender that is copied. That would naturally make it queer. But even let's say if you were to have a female, a male, and a non-binary person relationship, I think naturally it would already. I think in any sense it would need to be categorized under the LGBTQ community, because it's not a group that is going to be like very very. If I want to go out in public and have like a three-way date with my like poly relationship, and like we all propose to each other in the middle of the restaurant, everybody's gonna be like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" What? Like that's not gonna be a very normalized thing. So I think in any state, it should be categorized as a queer relationship.
Okay. What do you think of corporate support of the LGBT community? Do you think it's wrong? Could it be improved? what would you change about it if you could change how corporations support the LGBT community?
So naturally, like by itself, corporate support, I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with the oh shit, look what you doing, let's change our logo, okay, and now we don't care again. That's the problem I have.
Mhm.
So what I would prefer would be some type of actual, like, real advocacy, which I know is not going to happen. So thus, I will always have a problem. But like, let's say in the countries in which like queerness is not normalized, I would have a problem with companies supporting Pride Month if they also went ahead and like put up the same exact advertisement that they do here, but like do it in Afghanistan. Like, show me that you really care. With the loss of money that you're gonna take, show me that you actually care. Because like that would actually hurt you, but at the same time, it would really help people in those countries feel more like heard. And I think that's valuable. So yeah, no, show me you care. Like, go ahead, take a 15% pay cut in that country. Well, 15%, that's generous. Take a 70% pay cut in Afghanistan this year. Show me you care.
Okay, so you know show that corporations actually have the balls to
Go ahead
do
and
the
hurt
right
your
thing
bottom
regardless.
end.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
show me
that's
that you're willing to hurt your bottom end, just like people there have been getting hurt, like, with their lives for years. Your dollars, you can make that up. I can't bring back, like, all the dead children that have been probably stoned to death for being queer in these places. So yeah, show me you care.
yeah.
So
I can definitely agree with that. I think corporations should just have more balls when it comes to LGBT representation and not just have it be, a side character or something that happens off screen or a mention of a character that they can just easily change in post.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or yeah, I don't trust corporations at all, but hey, there are some companies that are completely ass, and I'm more than happy to go ahead and support those. I think companies are also uh put substantial money towards different issues every year, so not just showing like representation, but yeah, like, let me think of an example. So um there's a company that I had to work with for my nonprofit that I was going ahead and starting a prison reentry fund. So when people get out of prison, yeah, they would be able to have access to a couple things that they need. And one of the things that I did was ask a company for clothing. Or at least a discount. But no, they gave us like $300 like gift certificates for like every person that's going to be in the re-entry program from now on. Is that like really, really hurting their bottom line all that much? No. Is it really meaningful for those that are receiving it? Yeah. So, and we asked them at a time when it was no longer Black History Month. Like they did it, like in November or something. We're like, nobody's paying attention. They're not going to get a bunch of recognition for it. It was just do it because if you actually care about this issue, you will. And based off of like what this company typically does, it wasn't surprising that they gave money to it. So yeah, like that in that point, like I wouldn't have a problem with things like that. So if all year round they're like consistently trying to do things for like queer youth, like and not necessarily just like we gave money like to like some organization that has like a crazy amount of overhead. And we have no idea what they're doing with it, and I don't even know if there's that much accountability. Like, I don't find that impressive. But let's say if they were to just like get more involved with the community, yeah, and there was actually like some tangible difference in society besides the fact that they're like, oh look, two boys kissing, H&M did it, they did it. Then
Yeah. The boys season 2 really hit on this pretty well. Have you
yeah.
seen the boys?
Yeah, yeah, I have. Give me. I can
Yeah.
still hear you. By the way, I'm just grabbing the recipe card I need. But yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah, and I think that was a pretty great demonstration of how one can critique corporate corporate quote unquote wokeness without feeding into the alt-right talking points where they're just doing it just cause just for profit or whatever, and then feed into that's why gays shouldn't get married. Like, I feel like The Boys really responsibly handled its critique of corporate wokeness without going into the full on alt-right shit.
Which I find is really like funnily ironic, just like when like anything done by Amazon Prime is like corporation really just do be pandering. I'm like, okay, dados, like okay. I absolutely had no problems with any of that like depiction. I found the show to be really good for that. It's always funny when it's like, this is kind of ironic, but yeah.
Well, that's the ironic thing about capitalism is that if anti-corporate shit sells, then corporations are going to do it regardless of whether or not it stokes these opinions. Like, I'm sure if Amazon was like ideologically capitalist rather than just a corporation, it definitely wouldn't have produced The Boys. But since they only care about the bottom line, they're like, sure, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
What are they gonna do? Unionize?
Exactly. I think that's why The Boys was made. It's just like they think that they have so much power that they don't care if they stoke the anti corporate rhetoric. And I think that's part of how Sorry to Bother You was made too. Like there were issues getting the movie off the ground, but there are still big name actors in there, and there still was a production company involved. I just think they just didn't really care about the message. They're just like, fuck it, whatever, just make this movie, done with it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
Is it? I just always worry about like watching certain things because I remember so many people were telling me that I should go ahead and watch like Get Out because it's just so good, and I watched it and I was like, so that's why I think, yeah.
I think a lot of the reason why Get Out was praised as it was is because it probably made a lot of people rethink how they think about racism. Because it definitely did that for me back when I watched it. It reframed how liberal politics end up harming black people in the long run because of how not only performative a lot of it is, but how they tend to drown out black voices when it comes to their own issues.
Yeah, so there's this really cool thing called I've been black my entire life. So I was like, wow. Exactly what I knew. Like,
yeah.
That's probably why it didn't do very much for me. So I was just like, okay, like, yeah. Well, that's learn something right now.
It can still be cathartic for media to finally say it though. Like it could be just like, yes, this is what I've been trying to tell my white friends for so long.
I think I'm good enough at explaining. I think I definitely sit there and like beat my like drum all the time where people are like, we get it, okay? We get it. Yeah. Also, like, I watched it with like my other like black friends, so I'm pretty sure they were all just like, okay.
Yeah. You already knew this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing to point out is like the different experiences with the movie. For me, it was like revelatory, whereas for you, it was just that's what we've been trying to say this whole time, man. Like kind of just like exasperated, just like ugh.
Yeah, I think the one piece of media that like I guess definitively actually did something for me was like Call Me by Your Name. I like ended that movie like crying like a little bitch. I was like, but Timothy Chalamet, you have to be with him. I was really sad at the end. That and like, I don't know. Actually, that movie like really helped me like end the relationship. Like I watched that and I was like, I need to get out of here. Like I think I like broke up with like my boyfriend like a couple days later. I was like, I need to get out of here. I need something like Armie Hammer, Timothy Chalamet. Fuck I need someone to fuck a peach for me, okay? Like
I still haven't seen that movie yet. I need to watch it. I think I started watching it on an airplane ride and just never finished it.
yeah, the next movie night after Hereditary is gonna be this because
Okay.
yeah, I definitely I cried like a little bit. I actually haven't really seen that much queer media in my life. So maybe Calling Me by Your Name is like some vanilla like milk toast shit for some people. I'm pretty sure like for some people Call Me by Your Name was what like Get Out was for me. But like I don't know. I needed that. It was really good.
There was a movie released not too long ago called Carol that dealt with two women in like the 50s falling in love with each other, and one was married, and it's really good. Like I actually really enjoyed that film. And the way they filmed the sex scenes wasn't like tantalizing or anything. It wasn't like leering. It was very like intimate and personal. And I really enjoyed that. I think it's a really great film.
I'm sorry, so what you're saying is lesbian Call Me by Your Name?
Basically. It's just like movie for me. So I just wanted to end the interview with this one simple question. What does pride mean to you? What do you think it represents?
Good question. What does pride mean? I think it's a really good metric to see every year. I think there's very little ways for us to go ahead and measure how queer people holistically are being seen and how the evolution is. Just because, like, as a single queer person, like, if I'm black and I have the black experience and that's it. But like as a bi person, I'm not going to understand the umbrella of all the other people within the like LGBTQ umbrella. So I think it's a really good way for us to go ahead and do a litmus test to see like how is it evolving every year. I think if we could go, and I'm sure there probably are videos out there like this. If we could go ahead and look at every like the evolution of like one city's pride every year, we could really see like even if it feels like it's slow and tenuous, that there are being substantial changes done within this like community. Like some people are now actually able to go ahead and come out and feel like listened to. So I think it's just a really good litmus test for us to see like the evolution of our culture. And it also helps us sit there and see like who's not being represented and like how can we help those as well.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on and being the first of my interviews for Pride.
Okay.
I'm not sure when the next one's gonna be, but I do have another one planned for the 13th with Jangle's Mad Science Lad.
You should also tell that person to
to call you.
I don't know. I keep on seeing them show up, and I'm like, I do the science, so we can be friends. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll hit him up and see what's up.
Okay.
But that'll be the next one is on the 13th. If there's any more that I plan before then, I will tweet them out. Go ahead and follow Katarana on Twitch and on YouTube and on Twitter. She's great. She's the best. She's my bestie. We're Twitch besties. And I'll see you guys in the next one.